Hey, my name is Dr. Ruthie. I'm a professional sex educator and blogger over at exploringintimacy.com. I'm an author. I wrote The Nice Girl's Guide to Talking Dirty. But today I'm here thanks to funwares.com answering your questions about sex and relationships. Here's one from Jess. Jess says, I consider myself to have a very healthy attitude towards sex. I've masturbated for years and I'm very comfortable with my body. I've never been able to have an orgasm with myself or with others. I've had healthy sexual relationships with both women and men, and while I love sex, I would love to achieve that final release. I've tried sex toys and I love my Hitachi, but I get to a point where everything feels too intense and I either have to stop or slow down. What's your advice? Well, thank you so much for writing in, Jess. This is a really good question and something that a lot of folks deal with, especially women. So it sounds to me like sex is pleasurable for you, and that's very important. So I'm really glad to hear that it is. And you talk about having a healthy attitude towards sex. So I'm not going to talk too much about possible hangups in that area or things like that. But what you're experiencing is just getting over that ledge or edge or over that hump or whatever the case may be, or past that plateau into that orgasm area. When we're talking about sexual stimulation, different researchers, Masters and Johnson and other folks, have talked about the different stages of sexual arousal. So with one of the most common versions of the different stages of sexual arousal, and of course they're all controversial, different researchers come up with different ideas of what they would be or whether they work for all women the same or not, is that there's this plateau area right before orgasm, and you got to just kind of get over this bump in order to have the orgasm, and that has to deal with stimulation. That stimulation excitement kind of plateaus out, and you've got to do that final push. You're using a Hitachi Magic Wand, so that's excellent. One of my first questions is, are you using a lubricant? Oftentimes with the women that I speak to, or the female-bodied folks that I speak to, things get a little bit too intense, so intense that it's too hard to get from that plateau over the edge. And adding a lubricant can help to kind of smooth things out and kind of even out the stimulation so it's possible to really enjoy that extra amount that makes it happen. A lot of folks do lubricate just fine on their own, and then they get to that point where they're going to orgasm and it's either not viscous enough, not thick enough, or there's not enough of it to kind of help smooth that over. Also, there's nothing wrong with getting right to the edge and then pulling back, right to the edge and then pulling back. And so you might consider exploring that, especially with your Hitachi. And as you continue to do that over and over again, there'll be a hunger to make it happen that will help see you over that last bit to get to your orgasm. And of course, surround yourself with all the things you need to make that happen. Plenty of time, plenty of privacy, plenty of partners if that's what you want, or plenty of isolation if that's what you prefer. And all the things that make you feel sexy and aroused, and like hunker down for the long haul with this of getting closer, letting yourself relax, getting closer, letting yourself relax. Recognize also that there's lots of different feelings of orgasms. In fact, some research has suggested, or actually has downright said, that for a lot of women, we have these little vaginal flutters and muscle tensing episodes that really are, technically speaking, orgasms. And we have those sometimes throughout the day. And I've met plenty of women who have these little flutter orgasms and they're not sure if that's really a real orgasm. Absolutely, by definition it is. And perhaps you're feeling that, you're feeling that pulsing happening in your vaginal canal, or you're feeling your toes do that twitch thing. But what you really want is kind of that earth-shattering thing that you hear about that makes you moan and writhe and things like that. Sometimes a little more pressure in the G-spot can be useful for that. Sometimes more sustained stimulation, especially with good lubricant of the clitoris, can really be useful with that as well. But again, that forward and back, it may be that you got to rev up for a couple of those little flutters before you get the really big one. Know that as you continue to have orgasms, once you get to that place, you learn to get better and better at it. And you learn to be able to have different kinds of orgasms, and you come to recognize that at certain points in your cycle, orgasms come more easily or more difficult than other times, or feel more, better or richer or milder or whatever the case may be than at other times of the month. So that plays into it as well. So be aware that there can be differences there too. So it's a little bit of a learned skill, and once you break through, it'll get easier and better as you go. Hopefully these suggestions have helped you out, given you a little hope for how to move forward. Continue to have this good pleasure and make sure that you're in a place where you feel safe and sensual and you got lots of time and all that good stuff you need. I'm Dr. Ruthie. Let me know how it goes, and I will see you around at the next video. Thanks.